So we're having a conversation with each other, man. And like I said, that we're gonna be speaking about hip hop. What is it doing to the community? Is it having an effect on the community? Where are we at as a people? Because looking at the events that's happened in the past couple of weeks, because that's a major thing that I want to talk about. Is let's keep the conversation going, because after someone dies in the rap industry from being murdered or overdosing on drugs, we don't have the conversation anymore. This is Untitled Discussion. I'm your host, TJ Evans. I'm here with King Fat, Chris Harkless. With Crazy Works with Chris. Please go check out their Instagrams and their Facebook. We're talking about hip hop. In the past couple of weeks, in this past year, we've lost several rappers and artists to gun violence. We've lost artists in the past to gun violence non-stop. We have lost to overdosing, and even this year, due to COVID, we lost one due to COVID. What is going on in the rap industry? Is it a healthy place? Is rap a contact sport now?
Big facts. The internet got it looking goofy.
Got it going crazy, right?
Got it going, and that's it.
And I'll be honest
That's
though,
it.
if I had to look at like rap culture, hip hop culture more so, where it birthed from, right? We deal with gangster rap or whatever they want to call it, mumble rap, whatever they call it now. But at the same time, drill music, but it all comes from, a hip hop basis. If you look back when they originated, people were more so telling communal stories or trying to uplift or at least be, embracing. You know what I'm saying? If they were showing a certain light. And people still
party music.
It's
party
music
too.
I mean, have you ever heard I'm Your Pusher Man? You know what I'm saying? So if you look at the rise and the rhythms of that, like that's still talking about, drug use and drug selling, or parts of that community, you feel me? So at the same time, even if it's not all so uplifting, it still doesn't have to be so degrading. So I look at rap culture in today, and I look at the fact that you have groups like Public Enemy, you have brothers like KRS-One, Tribe Called Quest, you had different people who were popping and had a certain flow. Even Tim Dog, somebody that I've worked under, he wasn't necessarily as positive of a rapper in that decade or that era, but at the same time, he had flow. And by that basis, he was able to, do his thing in that climate. But he dealt with, I remember stories of him talking about beefing with people and having shootouts. Remember the time he was telling me he was beefing with NWA and he had to go out to California and he moved out there. And he had to get saved by some of the rappers out there just to make sure that his neck didn't get killed. You know what I'm saying? And I look at Tupac, Biggie, like, when does it stop?
I want to go back to what you said, because you mentioned a couple artists like KRS-One, Public Enemy, Tribe Called Quest, and even mentioning NWA. There are spectrums in rap. We see that they're the gangster rappers, the ones that talk about drug dealing and glorification of sexual promiscuity, and then we see that we have our knowledgeable rappers, the ones that talk about uplifting the community, talk about getting a job and teaching people how to hustle.
Right.
I've noticed that the most prominent ones are the ones who talk about the positive things, because we have the J. Coles and the Kendricks and even Jay-Z talked about his hustling days. But I really want to kind of zero in, because one event that happened in the last couple of weeks was the versus battle between Gucci and Jeezy. And there were
classic though.
There were a lot of feelings on that. A lot of people were upset because Gucci and Jeezy actually did the verses together because of issues in the past and someone lost a life. They wanted the beef to keep going, and a lot of people seen it as a positive thing for them closing out a chapter in their life.
Right. There were a lot of, I think it was a lot of people who was on the opposite end of that too, though.
Do you see that?
It's crazy.
Do you see, because of the negativity that people were, that Gucci and Jesus was getting from that, do you see that that's actually a reflection of what rap is a continuous beef? Like, that's because it's different from any other art form.
I think it's a part of what people have assumed the culture to be in today's time. Well, then again, I say they were beefing back then. So, but a lot of that was street, movements. People have always been quote unquote, I guess what you would call gangsters, or in those communities having to do certain impoverished activities. You know what I'm saying? And so that part of the culture always kind of seeps in. And again, the Pusha Man song, that's another example of something from what, 70s, of still that element being there. So I mean, it's there. It's a realism. I think in today's time they've embraced it so much so that it's past the point of let me get out of it, but let me embrace it and embody it. So now people who aren't even in it are trying to emulate that ideal. I gotta be, hood. I gotta shoot niggas. I gotta woo woo woo. And it's just weird. I'm even seeing a lot of the rappers that are getting killed or getting murdered. Some would say they're not on that level of, you know what I mean, that type of individual, but presenting that image, as we see, can be deadly in some cases. You know what I'm saying?
Chris, do you think that it's kind of odd that hip hop is the only type of art form that the fans want realism from? Like, you don't see anyone saying that they want Wesley Snipes to be actually out here killing vampires and stuff like that. You don't see it from people who look at action movies where people are actually killing people, but you see it in rap music where people want the gangster mentality to be not only on wax but in the streets.
I feel like hip hop is no longer hip hop anymore. It's actually pop music. Like, it is the popular thing to do. And in that, I still think that it's, my mind do some other shit. Okay, so in that, it still glorifies, it is okay to kill black men. It's the thing to do. You make the world see this is the norm, and it just makes it look like we're easily killable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because
still, even in other literary works, like I referenced that damn book, Huckleberry Finn, and I was talking about a line. Damn, I'm glad. I was talking about a line in the book where the ship blows up, and old boy was like, he had escaped the boat. He escaped the boat. He made it onto the ship. He was good. He was safe, but the explosion did happen. And Shawty said, "Well, did anybody die?" And he was like, nah, like 2 or 3 niggas. And she was like, "Oh, good, because people get hurt in those things, right?" To the effect, don't quote me on that, but to the effect of that.
Yeah.
And it put in my mind, like, even back then, killing a nigga, like, it's okay. They do it so well that you even accept it now. We just become desensitized to the whole thing.
Yeah, but I mean, what other culture do you know of that prophetizes off of even talking about, even if they're not really living their life? Say these niggas is raised by their parents, and you know what I mean, cushy lies, and then they just get tattoos on their face and just jump out there. Wait.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, you're right.
So to push that type of music, like where you talking about killing somebody, every other word is, I got this, or I got this strap, woody woo. Even in my music, I'll be honest, I mean, I'm a person of defense, because I know as a black man, I'm more likely to be shot down by somebody that looks like me. So to depict real life, you do talk about that aspect. But I make sure I put in there, like, hey, I look for a great vibe. I look for a great interaction. You know what I mean? Don't try me. You know what I mean? Type shit. But it's like, what says it's all right for our culture to make money off of talking about killing and degrading our people? You don't see that with country music. You don't see it with
the consumers.
Yeah, but you don't. It's not okay if a country artist was come out with a song talking about killing another country artist, or if an Asian pianist came out with a ballad about killing the pianist named Johan, or whatever like that. Shit wouldn't be. Even
because y'all actually touched on a major topic of it, because even how you said in Huck Finn where they said, "Oh, we didn't want." thought it was something important.
Right.
And you can actually consider that to be the fans, because they want the realism from their artists. You don't see that in other art form and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But isn't it our fault for consuming it? Can it?
Yes, to a degree.
Because I've heard rappers say that they're just speaking about the thing that's going on in the community and stuff like that. They're pretty much just giving a sneak peek or a bird's eye view from real life. And when does that stop being real life? When is that something that we stop pushing out? Because art used to imitate life. So back in the day, you can actually say that statement was true. But now life is imitating art. You can tell that by the way people dress now, by even the dogs
Or
that they buy.
move and act and live their life.
You remember in the '90s when they had when rappers had the big Rottweilers and pit bulls and stuff like that, and now you see rappers with little small
and choke chains, collar chains,
so,
right? Chains that you couldn't wear back then. Your chain had to be a certain length, or you want a man.
So has the responsibility changed on the rappers?
It's changed on top of them, yes, but they don't dictate it. So here's my thing: like a market exchange, rates are conditioned by somebody else, and those who play the game based off of those standards of creation. You feel me? If you follow what I mean, like rappers ain't creating the industry that they're a part of. They should, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I think that would be more of a.
But are they?
No.
Do you believe that's true? Do you think that rappers
Use
are,
NWA as an example.
and that's what I'm saying, that's back in the day, but do you believe that rappers aren't controlling what they're able to put out? Or do you think the system is still behind it to control what they put out? You don't think there's any young kid that's sitting out there saying, yo, I can record some bull and put it out real quick?
But why?
And then
Especially
I
if he
get money?
lives in his mama house and don't live that life. Why does he create this fictional life and sell it to people? Why? What makes somebody do that? He sees it as a lane, but why is it a lane? Who made it a lane?
He sees other rappers, right? Am I tripping?
Right, but these other rappers are paid to do this, right? Some are under contract deals, meaning that they might not even write their own music. A lot of them don't even write their own music, so they're literally given a script, paid a check, and they go before the camera and do their thing, go home and present this image to, like you said, a little kid that'll say, "Damn, that's how I gotta live." And he present the same image to go try to sell himself. So, but who is setting them standards? I don't know. I would have to put the blame on whoever's paying these people or creating a narrative that there is a lane to be paid in lieu of acting or moving this way. If that makes any sense.
There's no accountability. There's never an accountability. And that's what I see.
No, I'm not saying that there's not an accountability for the parents of that said individual on, how to be raised, being raised and what his character and motivations are. But what I'm saying is he still sees that as something to do. He could grow up and say, I want to be a fireman, or I want to cut grass for a living, or I want to, you know what I'm saying? If he chooses to take on a role, a quote-unquote gangster lifestyle, or to be that, like, what puts that in front of him?
You just said it. You just said it.
What, the gangster lifestyle?
No, if he chooses.
Right. But choice is set by standards. But I also believe in illusion of choice. I believe that there are choices set upon us for us to choose from, not necessarily open populist choices. So that's all how you look at it.
I believe that hip-hop is toxic. But now, after you said that, I can actually say that it does reflect the community.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in your speech, you lost accountability for the individual.
Not at all. I figured that was assumed. Apologies.
Because you put it on the label or the writer instead of the rapper. at the end of the day, when even with the Black Lives Matter movement, and they talk about police killing black people and saying that the police are hunting down black people. That's not even close to being true. And it doesn't even account for the black lives being lost by members of the black community, like because of the hands of members of the community. And it's the same thing in rap. Is at what time in your life do you say, maybe I'm putting out certain things to invite certain things in? Because from what I've seen, 4 rappers were killed this year. Now, if you did the math on that,
Right.
that's compared to any other industry, that's kind of weird. You don't see rock stars just getting killed by their fans or by some dude sitting on the street. So what I'm saying is, when do we actually say, all right, maybe we're putting out a certain image. Maybe we're saying something that is detrimental to our health.
I got you.
Maybe we're doing it, and not the people, not the powers that be.
But see, I ask the same question when I see mothers who are playing, you know what I mean, young NBA, young boy, or just different people who may have certain songs that are speaking of gunning people down or doing this, doing that, and it's a 3 or 4 year old child and they're reciting and learning the words. So that parent is giving it to them. You ask and that's their choice, but you ask what changes that? I think a few things. One being education, you know what I mean? And I ain't necessarily talking about just a school term of education, but just an education of life. Whether it's learning food, learning balance of self, you know what I'm saying? Just it's different levels to it, but it can be aided. We've taken people who have impoverished families and then they learn wealth tactics and they're able to train their children so the generations after learn something that the before generations didn't have. You know what I'm saying? So it can be altered, but it's just how you move at it. Especially, again, if it's monetization behind it. I use that because it's business. And we know in this world, free enterprise kind of rule. So you brought up a point earlier in the sidebar discussion about kind of transferring the liability of wealth almost. In a sense of if somebody is doing something that there's a plight, but there's a monetary reasoning for them doing that thing, one tactic may be, movement of wealth acquisition to that person in order to get them to shift, ties or allegiance, or come on that side of thinking. And so what would work in the hip hop community to shift thinking? Is it kind of working now? I do see a lot of artists coming out. Toby is a great artist, and there's a number of other ones who have a certain element or content to them that's, speaking just in great heightness of black people and not, just a downgrade or downplay. So I see an awakening happening, but I mean, still, is it enough money? Are the people, like you said, the people's interest behind that as much as it is, listening or whatever? What do you guys think would change that?
I'm starting to see people don't give a fuck. Maybe that's just
That's
at
true
the
for life.
end of it, now
That's true for
I'm
life.
I'm
That's really
sorry,
true for life, huh?
they don't give a fuck, bro.
That's true.
You are desensitized.
All the way.
What happens? It's group think.
Exactly. And that's when you ask, do they know what they doing? Sometimes no. Especially if that baby is following along with the parents doing. You know what I'm saying?
Kids see too damn much. Kids are not being kids. That's life. Life is on your phone. Life is the internet. Life is TV. We have really taken the pill and entered the matrix.
Right. I even believe, the Constitution, it's a parent's job to protect your child from government or internal forces.
So
Absolutely.
So let's say, if we had to place blame on the turn hip hop took,
Okay.
the turn that rap took, Do you blame it on the parents, the consumers? Do you blame it on the hip hop artists, or do you blame it on the companies, the record labels?
I blame it on, personally, I blame it on all, but again, I said the record labels or the money, if we were to just follow that chain up, is set by somebody. You know what I mean? Whether good or bad, you know what I mean? Because I ain't just going down the record labels and them, but, you know, things are set. And sometimes it's set off of what people want, but somebody saying, yeah.
You just didn't know that side of the business. That's it.
Is it for you to know, though?
Hell yeah. It's free knowledge, man. The thing is, no, it's not free. It's always access. You got to have access to it.
So, right. So,
somehow you have to have access to it.
see,
So
I
it's
would call
not
that
free.
the illusion of inclusion.
Illusion of inclusion. Life's not, well, seeing that's when I get into that. Nah. It's true enough, there are powers set up to say, like, hey, we will try to keep certain things out of this groups. This, we'll say, to be politically correct, this demographics. This demographic doesn't need this thing here.
Right.
It could make life easier. It could possibly propel people on another level. But, you know, that's what it is. Control.
So, can I ask you a question?
What's up?
If,
Ooh.
well, let's just say human bondage. I don't want to say chattel slavery. I don't want to tie too close to, you know. But if it was a thing of bondage, right? Would you assume that that was an okay system, process, or establishment if you yourself were a beneficiary or a benefactor of said institution?
Oh no, but see, because I know better, I have access to understand. Like, I don't look at business on that side. So I look at, you got people that look at business like profit, like gimme.
Right.
But business actually is an art form.
Mm-hmm.
It's all on about how you use that motherfucking paintbrush. Mm-hmm. It is amazing to me to see, and that's what we come from, that's what we do. We come into cities, we build them up, we bloom them, we give them sauce, we give them culture. We see that from the Romans. Even Greek mythology, they picked that from us, you know what I'm saying? They picked that from us, so in that, all forms, not just the music, business and everything.
Yeah.
And they took advantage. We don't understand value.
So in that statement, it's the artist.
It's always going to be self, but it's also the collective. Mm-hmm. So we wouldn't, and that's when I always say it's not about the individual, but when we be judged as a nation, it's the mindset of everybody.
Right. You know why music is so different than any other type of actual tangible good?
Bob Marley told you. It's the only thing that hits that when you feel no pain. Like, it's big bass.
But even in the creation of it, like art, in the creation of art period, not even just music, but art period, it is different because, let's say if I'm a farmer, and I'm in the city, and I got all this food, I'm growing all these crops. I'm the only person around who got crops. Mm-hmm. They're going to come to me because they need that, right? Mm-hmm. But when you create, it's not actually a necessity for people. They don't need that. You're not actually putting out something that people actually need to buy. And it's different because it's something that you're creating for yourself. When you create things, you don't create it for the public. You're creating things because you're in that mood and you felt that. And people, when they see it, they can interpret it differently and take it from that. So what I'm saying is, in the artistry of it all, you're putting out music that you want the people to feel it. If they don't, they don't. But you're putting it out because you was in the mood to create at that point in time. So that's why I put it on the artist, because you're putting out something that you're saying that you feel this way. If you feel like killing a whole lot of people, a whole lot of black people, because you're saying that, because every time you say something, you're saying you're going to kill it in. So it's like, where are we going?
That's not necessarily, I feel where you're going with that though. But like when you're talking about major artists, like me, I make all my own music, you know what I mean? But I'm not a top level artist. I haven't been doing this for, consecutive years with, shit on the chart. So not yet anyway. But it's a thing where if that's not my level or my class or my lane yet, then and I say that because it's a given thing. It's like somebody saying A-list actor or B-list actor or C-list actor. Those aren't necessarily set by that person. It's set by the industry in which that person is trying to gain access to. You feel me? Like credit. That's a system that you didn't create, but you are established in. And to move properly, you got to play that game and move properly. So I don't know. It's all on the fundamentals, in my opinion. I would say I do agree with putting the blame on the artist in the sense of they say yes or no.
Do you create because you're in the mood to create?
So for me, I create based off of what mode or mood I'm in. You feel me? Whether it's an aggressive one, whether it's a loving one, you know what I mean?
That's all I'm saying.
Creative and business minded. Like depending on where I'm inspired or what I'm inspired by, I create. But I'm not a part of a think tank. I'm not, signed on contract. Because a lot of these guys who are part of these major labels, you have to realize they do not have total control over their careers or their music. A lot of people have cried and went public over the fact that labels will give them a whole script and make them wear certain things, look a certain way, talk about a certain stuff that may not be their lifestyle or their liking. You feel me? And so that's business, contractual. If it's on paper and you sign that shit because you want the check, then for them amount of years you locked to that shit. And you may not agree with any of that shit, or you may hate what you're putting out. Some artists have come out and said,
so who told
I'm
you
sorry for doing that in my career.
So who told you to sign?
Poverty. Not gonna lie. Or better yet, to be honest, like human beings, look now with the coronavirus and what's going on with, like when people are squeezed and put in constraints and then put fear on top of that of what could happen, man.
That's
people,
when you find out who has integrity.
You find out what people's price is, yeah. Right.
So again, artists.
Right. So, but I agree though. I agree on the sense that they agree to it. Like they say, yeah, they sign their name to the list. But if all you're trying to do is be successful, and the only example that you feel aligns with you on success, which is still a personal choice, but for some people, they feel that lifestyle or that image is what aligns to them in lieu of being successful. And so if that's what you're trying to reach, some people are doing anything to reach it. I don't salute, that type of activity, but it's factual. It's factual. A lot of the kids that's trying to be the rappers is looking at them emulations. They looking at what the jewels, the women, all the quote unquote perks that shine on the video. So it's the imagery, it's what's sold. And shown over and over and over.
So Chris, when you listen to rap, what do you get?
Depends where I'm at. Depends where I'm at. In the gym, oh yes sir. Yes sir. Yes sir. That Moray quicksand make me take my time with the weight sometimes. Rap depends on what. When I'm having sex. Have you heard Busta Rhymes and Janet Jackson? Would I consider that?
I mean, I guess you can.
I'm an Al Green type though.
Yeah, I listen to it a little bit. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about just straight rap music. When can I implement rap, and how does it make me feel? Yeah, it has its place and its moments. It's the overconsumption of too much of anything is not good for you.
Yeah, because rap music has kind of oversaturated the market. So that may be one of the major causes to its toxicity.
Did you hear that T.I. Expeditiously? I think it was on Expeditiously where he was like, it's 6. Now he said something uncut, like 10,000, 6,000 songs created a day. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it depends on like what hit or something. But I'm just like, I'm thinking about all the people that I know make music. And I'm like, man, they shit good. But now he put it into my head like, you're competing with 6,000 people.
That's a lot of work. And
if you can control the narrative of just 6,000, goddamn, it's all really the same shit.
Yeah.
No, really, you know what I'm saying? Man, if you flood the market with just the same shit, then that's it, right?
Think of the womb and the egg trying to get in to, fertilize that womb. The egg is the goal. But how many people do you have swimming trying to get in? You feel me? And so that
birth of a hit.
right. But did the sperm that's trying to, how did the sperm get there? Did he create the woman or the bird, the canal that he swam up? Did he create the egg that he's trying to get into? Shit, no, hell, he didn't even choose to shove in there, but he in there, he working, you feel me? So I put that in lieu of sometimes people take on the feeling of, like, this is the life I live. I'm a black man living in the South, so I know certain things can be a threat or in my head or something to look out for, right? So I didn't choose it, but it's something that I'm dealt, and I have to live that out. Now, I have choices. You know, there's many options of getting wealth. Some people don't have that education, quote unquote, you feel me, to tie into that or to put that in play in their life. So, I mean, it's a growth period, and we all, you know, need education and grow every day. You feel me? Learn more every day. But I think the more we can give to our children of that, and music that inspires that type of creativity versus just killing and shit-ho and, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's so quick and thirsty to me. But if I had to be honest, the atmosphere that's out here, you know what I mean? On both the male and the female aspect. And I definitely think that is time for a change on that. You know what I mean?
So, do y'all believe that there is a tie between the rap music and how we are morally as a people, like with the woman embracing her sexuality as much as she is, and with the violence in the streets that we see with our young men? Do y'all see a tie between that and the music, or is that just completely separate, like how they try to tell me that violence and violent video game with youth don't have anything in common?
Say that again for me.
Do you,
I apologize. We having this type of discussion, but yeah, say that one more time.
do you believe there's any tie between the morals of black people and rap music?
I would, yeah. That's, cause it's still saying, yeah, I really don't. Because it's still like any saying or jingles and shit like that. You continuously keep saying something, you start acting out on it. It's all subliminal messaging, all that. It is, put something in your head, bro.
So
that's the strongest place to be.
It is a connection to it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember watching a movie called They Live. That was one of the dopest movies I could have watched as a youngin'. You know what I mean? Because it put me on game to a lot. Yeah. Great movie. And the images are behind every image. And I remember also watching 2 Chainz and Drake video, and they had images imposed in the background, you know, on that video, and many other videos where certain things are imposed, whether it's logos or what have you. And it's just a thing of, you know, shit, why would somebody put a watermark on a video if it wasn't to subliminally link you to what that is, or the color of something, or, you know, the shape of something? It's all a tool. And if you know how to use that tool, and you know that people aren't necessarily aware, but will still follow them, shit, just follow the book. Just follow the book, you know?
So, my last question is going to be a 2-parter. Would you let your children listen to rap?
Should I answer first? Or you got, yeah. I ain't a parent yet.
No, it's just a hypothetical question. Would you let your child listen to rap? Your children and your child listen to rap? Would you?
Man, I'm trying to shield my child. I want my child to be a child. I am working my ass off so that he knows, like, I have the opportunity to be a child, because I'm trying to transfer wealth, things of that nature. Like, he has to go through the whole process, and kids should not grow up that damn fast. And one thing that I'm saying is, in certain situations, it forces your child to grow up fast. That's why I'm blessed that I have my child at this point. I ain't the best, but I can make some shit shake around that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
So
Get some shit paid. I was just like,
I give you.
So you would say no.
huh?
You would say no.
What you mean?
You
Oh
would
yeah,
say
no. Hey,
Would you?
nah.
I would put it this way. So in simplest terms for me, you know, I always balance and just weigh everything out with reasoning, right? So if I wouldn't sit with my child and watch a porno video with my child, then technically I would never be the one to try to give a certain music style to my child that is pornographic, you know what I mean? So for the Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion fans out there, and City Girls, you know, great music. Don't get it wrong. It's around for everything in the sense of, you know, flow and what people are looking for, you know. But if you ask me, would I give that to my child, right, an adolescent, a youth coming from me, then I would have to say no. I also wouldn't put a gun in my child's hand and tell them to aim at a poster or physical blackmail. So I wouldn't put that type of music in front of my child to, you know, show him that it exists in that light and from an image that looks like me and him, and at the same time that it's all right with me.
Time, and I'm glad let me clarify that. Let me clean that up. I'm glad you said that. I want to practice what I preach, man. So would I let my child listen to hip hop? Certain songs, certain things, because I love, like, I'm sorry, nah, take that back. I apologize. I know the political, and that's like, man, let me quit. I know the political look of how I'm trying to sing, but it really ain't that, because hip hop is a feeling to me. Like, it's some songs, me and my son be grooving, like, I'm dancing with him and he go to sleep. Like, I like that, and he smile on them. So I pick and choose. Hip hop been good.
So like that's pretty much what would be my answer is I would allow my child. No, one more thing about it, I probably wouldn't. I would contemplate on it, but if I did, it would be supervised. Because at the end of the day, I haven't seen the only positivity that I've seen from hip hop rap music is one is creating outlets and jobs for individuals to get money. Black men who probably wouldn't have got money in their situation. Two, it does allow people to express themselves and actually attach themselves to other people who's feeling the same way that they do. Three, the expression of the things going on in the black community and how it's being shown throughout the world. Because hip hop is like the #1 industry in the world right now. Like, it's ridiculous. We're pretty much a major export.
The verses show you that.
Yeah. So, but the good doesn't outweigh the bad. That's the thing to me. And it's like even if I tried to supervise my child, I would try to, but once it gets to a point where and that's how I've seen on the radio, the things they allow on the radio, it's like, dang, where are we at? The FCC's not doing their job anymore.
It's brought it in for you.
It's like, so
brought it in.
it's kind of tough for me to allow them to. But before I ask that my last question, I wanna touch back on this Young Jeezy and Gucci Mane thing. I was upset because they came together and I could have got a lot of mixtapes when I was younger. So I was mad about that. I could have rolled to a lot of good mixtapes and I feel they could have created for me, but they didn't. Because they was beefing. Two, I was glad because these men show what people should do in beefs. And even from following the things that's going on in Chicago and seeing how their beefs are never ending in other areas of the country, you can actually see what you're supposed to do in wartime. Because for some reason people believe that you're just supposed to be going to war all the time. But people don't understand. At one time, like to end the war, 2 men had to sit down and talk. Like you have to do that. And I'm glad that Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy did that. Like sat down and talked. So I was great because I was happy because of that. Because they showed like what you're supposed to do as men. There's nothing immature or punkish about that. That is what you do in war. Like, because you can't go on killing each other. It takes too much time.
Only time they did that, once again, in the book Huckleberry Finn, bro.
Yeah.
They came up on the goddamn property and, man, white folk were just killing each other and they called it a duel. They kept killing each other's family and they just said, that's the shit that they do. But when does it end? When everybody gone. Like
that is unhealthy.
Crazy.
There's nothing right about that.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy that even in those situations where there's nothing but perpetual warfare and violence going on, it's like, dog, you're going to have a son and you know in the back of your head that your son is going to get murdered.
Facts.
You know that because of stuff that you're doing, your son is going to get murdered. Your son has
being in America, shit, my son still has a 1 in 7, 1 in 9% chance in getting hit. Even if he a banker.
Getting murdered by another black man, though. That's what I'm saying.
A dentist or a doctor.
But that's what I'm saying. It's by another black
you know
man,
that
though.
dentist
That's the
got
crazy
murdered.
thing.
That's what
He
I'm
was
saying.
if you tag rapper to it, you getting shot. It's a dentist that got murdered. I said, oh hell.
Because rap is a contact sport,
Well,
apparently.
that's crazy. That's funny that you say that.
Like, dog,
But not funny.
it is dangerous being a black man in America, and it's not because of America. It's because you probably get killed by another person that looks like you.
That's big.
And people say, but dog, there's white on white crime and Chinese on Chinese crime. But you have to think about it. The number one killer of a white man is car accidents. Number one killer of a black man
Homicide.
is another black man.
Homicide.
We cannot keep a war going just because we want to save face. Because if you're dead, you don't have a face to save anymore. There is no more face. You're just dead.
But where is it? Like, I don't think, like, that's when I say education is, and I don't care if somebody's a millionaire, especially if they're given a check by somebody and they are a millionaire overnight, but they don't know what to do with it, and there's still people managing their life and their wealth behind it. And God rest to a lot of the brothers that is getting hit out here, man. This shit is definitely crazy, especially here in Atlanta. But it's like, where is it with the people around you in your environment that are level-headed or business-minded, or if you are tied to a label or some major institution, where are their, execs or, monitors being...
There are no more A&Rs. A&R game is dead. They've been dead. There's
they
no more
don't.
artist development. Why you think?
You gotta do that
Come on,
yourself.
bro. Why you think all these rappers on
But that's
Instagram
what I'm
holding up
saying.
all
How
that
many
money and
people
getting caught up in tax?
But
Come
how many
on, man.
people are A&R for themselves, though, in that sense? You feel me? And don't really have a secondary opinion or whisper in their ear on how they should move or what to do. A lot of people just at whim of steal those distribution contracts or those major groups that they got to tie with in order to push their music. So they might own their shit, but they still got to get it out there. You still got to get on radio play. And that's a whole union and collective and group, you know what I'm saying? You got to get on. Like, it's deep, but to really get out there, you still are knocking on the doors of people who are already established. They got their building already, you feel me? You're trying to get entry. And so it's one of the things where people try to make you jump the hoops and see, how high you'll go. So I definitely want to see the day where, if we're talking about black community especially, that we are vested in our community and we have our own distribution, our own major labels, our own radio stations or conglomerates that can, filter the music. Like, it would have to, in my opinion, it has to come from us in order to truly understand or to get what it is that we need. Not even just necessarily want. Like, if I go to the doctor, they're not going to give me what I want. You know what I mean? And I know it's a different source. You know what I'm saying? But they're going to prescribe or try to give me what I need in order to have that vested interest in my life. And so I think, for me, when I listen to music, I like to listen to things that tie not only to my vibe, but where I'm trying to go. You feel me? So that it is that influence. I don't know, man, education. People got to be more aware. For real.
I feel like you were going to say something as well.
I forgot. No need, nigga. I'm sorry. My brother, I'm sorry. Like, man, crazy.
Is hip hop, is rap toxic?
Yeah.
Crazy.
But hell, liquor toxic. I damn sure be drinking somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Hell, driving on the road sometimes can be toxic.
Wet every day,
It's like-
especially traffic in Atlanta.
How do you change? That's what how do you change
Is
the
it,
feeling
matter
of
of fact,
people?
I'm gonna change that word toxic. Is hip hop rap music detrimental to the community?
I mean, yeah, like, I think, have you ever listened to like Shaka Zulu War Chants? And this is just,
Oh my gosh, no, but I'm going to now.
okay, so I ain't even trying to be funny. Sometimes I go into my own little zone when I'm working out or even when I'm about to do some work. And the way they call and response, like just, that's so crazy about music. Like, you know how we used to do
Music,
call
yeah.
and response. When that tap in, it just changes your mood. It gets you to act on what you like. If I were gonna do 50, I'm about to do 70 because I just it's in there. So with that, it's the same thing. Whatever you put in there, you know, whether it be shit, I'm about to. Have you listened to Pastor Troy? Sometimes I'm about to come to the club just to fight. I wasn't even about to do that shit, you know what I'm saying? But shit, you know, sometimes that music pump you up. You know how when you go through the club, you know what? It ain't cause the nigga stepped on the shoes. It's the music the DJ playing. That's really what it is.
Or it's time to fight down, the DJ switch and play something else.
Exactly. It's the, man,
So,
that's power though.
so hip hop is detrimental to the community.
So, but here's the thing though. I feel, and this is just realism. I love my people. I'm a part of this black community, especially here in America. But I understand that through the things that we've been through, there are certain, I'll say disconnections from a certain level of what some would deem reality or a common sense reality. You know what I mean? How can I put this? There's certain music that we go after. I truly don't fully understand it. The vested personal interest, you know, in everyday people in that type of music. Same as if a chick is getting called bitch, bitch, bitch in a song, but she listened to just that, she in the house by herself just listening to that shit. I don't know. I don't know.
It's
deep,
no,
man.
is hip hop,
It's
rap
deep,
music detrimental?
Of course,
to the
I'm
community?
giving examples of it. I don't get the reasoning why people
I
so
just
on
told
to it.
you.
No, I'm saying, what you mean?
It's the feeling. It does something in your spirit.
Yeah, it's-
So some music is crushing the spirit.
Hey, whatever. man, I believe in the wizardry. Shit, Future tried to tell you.
Hey, bro.
Wizard, like, yeah, so maybe putting them the sheep, bro. Some of that, bro, he went on a goddamn song saying shit the whole time, and that shit ride. Shit. And I be goddamn it, I be turning with that thing, bro. Yo, I'm telling you, bro, it's the wizardry.
Oh shit.
It's not up.
I appreciate you fellas. Thank y'all for joining us.
Oh.
Again, I'm TJ Evans. I'm King Fat. Chris Harkless.
Chris.
Crazy Work with Chris. Y'all, I'm not trying to change your mind on rap music, hip hop music. Y'all consume it at your own risk, you know. But if you're gonna do it in moderations. There are other types of music out there. You know, enjoy some R&B every once in a while, jazz, classical.
Then you start having too many goddamn kids, man. I'm
not against that. I'm with black people making babies. I'm with
Yeah,
it.
we gotta talk about what happens after that. Right?
Oh,
you got
great.
to
No, they brothers
Take
don't
care of the
produce
babies.
something. Tell him.
But again, it's Untitled Discussion. Y'all stay safe. Peace.
Hey, one.
Yeah.
That's some
Yeah,
real
bro.
shit, though.